Awesome. We are back for part two of quote unquote Jason. Jason.
Jason.
We are we did the who, we did the what, we did the when. Now we're gonna do the where. Whereabouts. Where's Jason now? Okay. Where has he been? Where are you going? Where would you meet him in the afterlife? Where would you go to dinner if he was around today? Where would you live? Where would you travel? Where would you go to have the most fun with him?
Mm,
Where would you wind up at the end of your life with him?
mm,
Where do you see his friends? Where do you see your friends? Where were you going to get married if you planned it? And where were you going to put the baby's crib once born if you went that route? Go for it.
mm.
Hmm.
Nice. That was a great questions.
Thank you.
I would hope right now that Jason is in heaven or whatever we feel or think is heaven. Um, and I would meet him there if he's willing to have me, you know. Um, my last resting spot, who knows? But
Hmm.
I actually feel that I have traveled. I teleported to where he is because I've had multiple dreams about him, which is so surreal because him and I have had some very deep conversations about dying, death, or what have you. Neither one of us ever seemed or sound scared of it. Um, just a side, not really a side note, but this is pretty important to me. Um, we one day we were at the water in Windsor, Connecticut, and interestingly enough, this is literally 2 years before he passed away. And I'll go back to the questions, but I just wanted to say this.
Yeah.
This was where we were that day. We were at the water. We were sitting at a picnic table. It was hot as hell. It was in August, and I I remember him asking me to get him a water out of the house before we got to the water, to the river, to the Connecticut River. And we were talking and talking, and we stayed out there for 4 hours straight. And it was just so relaxing because we were laughing, joking, reminiscing, just talking about a lot of stuff. And I think that's where I realized that Jason was totally giving up. Like he just didn't care anymore because I said to him, I said, "So what are you gonna do?" And he was like, "Nothing." I was like, "Nothing?" He was like, "Nope, nothing." And I knew from there that he just was just like, whatever. You know, that was kind of weird to me, but not really because I know Jason. He's wishy-washy sometimes. But now that I look back on it, it held a significance because where he is now, I would think even from there, it would still be the same. I honestly feel that Jason is in some kind of peace. I feel it because every time I see him in a dream, he doesn't seem like anything's wrong with him. He seems so regular. He seems like the old Jason, you know. Where we were gonna get married, I don't even know. I know that we was just supposed to be together. He feels that we was just supposed to be together. And it was just like what it was supposed to be. Where, I'm not really sure. Um, we were we were just so drawn to each other that it didn't matter where we were, as long as we were together. Um, but I saw the most joy in him when he would come to New Jersey and be with me for weeks on end, because that was when I finally had my own apartment without having roommates. So he would visit me in Brooklyn, but when I was in Newark, he was always trying to come down to Newark. Like that was his thing. And so, that's where we really would have the most fun, because he even made friends in my building. Like he would be saying to me, "Oh, I'm gonna go downstairs and hang with Eli." Okay, I'm like, okay, like damn. Jason had friends at my building, But yeah, we would have so much fun, and I would take him over um in the on the train into the city, and we would go to the Ville or Times Square, or wherever, wherever we could take some pictures together. Um, I also remember one day I took him to Branchbrook Park and right down the street from my apartment building, and he was just blown away because first of all, we were in like this city that the world painted as the most dangerous place in the world. And I took him into the park that had nothing but peace. We were surrounded by water. We were surrounded by like these nice flowers. And he was just like, oh my God, this is so nice. So we were able to take a lot of pictures. And then that day, when we left out of the park, we pulled over because we were at a high point in Newark where you can overlook down into the city of New York. And we took pictures of a sunset. And interestingly enough, at his funeral, I don't believe that these people knew what they were doing, but they were playing slideshows of pictures, and they pretty much got the pictures from his Facebook page, not knowing and realizing that 90% of the pictures that they had flashing up there were pictures that he took when he was at my house. So it was like so cool because that's where we would be all the time. So if we had kids, which that was our plan until I end up breaking up with him and moving on, going to college when I was young. And a few years later, he ended up having his first child, and that right there for me, I was done. I was like, okay, well, I guess that means that it's not meant to be for us to be together. Now looking back, I wish those things were different and changed, but it's great that he ended up having kids because, I mean, hey, why not? But if we had a kid, where would the baby's crib be? The baby would have been sleeping with us because Jason was so close to me, I was so close to him that it would have been inevitable for our baby to be close to us. And not to mention, he wanted a brood. He really thought that we were gonna have like 6 kids, and I'm like, yeah, right. But that was his thing. He has such an amazing imagination about our life together, or what it could have been, should have been, would have been. Yeah, and that's where we would have been in life. And where we had the most fun times. Like where it first started off was Windsor, Connecticut, and it went through the tri-state, Windsor, Brooklyn, Newark. So Connecticut, New York, New Jersey.
Love it.
Yep.
Why? Oh boy, it's me. Why did he have to die? Why did you let him? Why weren't you there? Why didn't his mom step in? Why did he let himself down? Why didn't he love himself enough to stay alive? Why did he let everything pass on by? Why did he start drinking in the first place? Why didn't he love himself towards the end? Why didn't you love him more towards the end? Sorry.
well,
Sorry, I do
well,
apologize. Oh God.
no.
Oh man, that's
So,
tough saying.
I believe that the reason why Jason died is because it was his time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and unfortunately, I do believe that he was subconsciously tormented in his mind. Um, he had a couple of other things that was going on that I feel that he felt ashamed of. And with that as well, he never made anything of himself to other people and to his parents that it probably just aided in his depression. Um, Also, Jason had a bit of an identity crisis. Um, he was told by his father when he was 13 in an argument, well, that's why you're adopted. And that haunted him for the rest of his life. So much so that 2 years before he passed, when I went to Connecticut to get him to come down to New York, we were on the train and we were talking, and I told him how I felt like he looked just like his mom. And he was like, I was just looking at her picture the other day because his mom had passed a while ago, and he had a picture of her on the wall. He was like, I was just looking at her picture the other day, like he kind of could see it himself. And I told him, I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really think your mother is your mother. And so I asked him, I was like, so you never talked to your mom about what your dad said to you, that you were adopted? And he was like, nope. Here we go with that, nope.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that was like, wow, because here this man is in his 40s. He clearly don't look like nobody in the family but his mom, by the way. But his sister and brother, he looked nothing like them. To me, he favored his mom. I'm not gonna lie. And his little sister, she was adopted. So, there was really no proof of any of that type of stuff or whatever. But I think that's one of the reasons why he started to have this spiraling of depression. And I think that Jason just didn't know why he was. He just started losing hope. And I don't think he did not love himself. I just think that he was disappointed in his life and his choices. Why did he start drinking? I mean, when you're a kid and you're doing something kind of bad, it's like, oh, I'm just having fun, He let it get out of control. From what he explained to me, it just was something that they were doing at one time, and then he just started drinking more. Like it started off with like a little beer here, and then it got over to 40 ounces, and then it got over to liquor. So, and a lot of that could be outside influence, worldly influence, entertainment influence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily believe that he didn't love himself. Now, here's where it gets a little sad. Um, I, well, no, it's not even that I believe. I found out, and I couldn't bring myself to tell him like some of the real deal off of what he said. But when I was 18, so I met him when I was 14, and by the time I was 18, I was a little fed up because I thought that he would have went on at least a college or trade school, and by the time I was getting of age, he would be semi-established so that we can continue our life. But no, he was still in the park drinking, and I'm like, nah, I'm not having that. So I ended up breaking up with him and moving down south to go to college, where that was short-lived. But apparently, that made Jason spiral out of control. And from what he told me, is that when I left him, he didn't care about anything in this world. His exact words were, "Yeah, I was mad. I was like, fuck her, fuck everything, fuck everyone, fuck all this." And from there, he just gave up, is what he told me. He just didn't care about anything ever again in life because I left. And I thought that was kind of like, what? I'm, I was a teenager. Like, are you serious? You let a girl, like, I didn't say that to him, but I'm like, you let a girl make you feel like that? But because of him telling me that, I could not bring myself to tell him that when I did come back to town and left the college I was at because I couldn't, that wasn't my style.
Mhm.
I couldn't tell him that I came back to the neighborhood for him because I felt like, oh, I miss my man, I miss my boo, I miss my husband, And when I got back and saw him, he was in the park, whatever you want. But this time he was in the park with a young lady in tow. And this young lady was pregnant with his baby.
Mhm.
And I made a conscious decision right then and there that I would never go back to him. We would, whatever we were supposed to have was never going to be. And that was just it. Because I'm not a second thought. I'm the first thought, but I'm not going to be this second to something that you just blindly did. So I
Mhm.
couldn't bring myself to tell him that. But why did he have to go? Only God knows that. Why didn't I love him enough to endure what could have is because I love myself. And I loved where I thought I was going to be going. And I felt that if we couldn't have each other, at least we had each other's friendship. And that was going to have to be good enough. So, why did he leave? And why did he never make himself whole?
Mhm.
Is because it just wasn't in him at the time. The depression took over. The the just sorrow in his mind and his heart. It just literally took over, and he didn't care about himself anymore to the point where he started smoking cigarettes way more than usual, drinking more than usual, falling out, being like the town drunk. He even developed COPD, which probably ultimately killed him. I'm not necessarily sure what his cause of death was. Um, but yeah, it was just time for Jason to go. He completed being on Earth for the time that he was, and he didn't need to be here anymore. And that's why I said, I know he's in a better place. I know he's at peace because why would you want to be here when it's tormenting you on a daily? So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Wow. Well, that is the conclusion of the question part of the five W's. Excellent job of staying within the realm of my questions, even though asking them, asking questions like that of a person that's not here, almost putting blame on them and blame on you,
Hmm.
which is not the case. However, it needed to be said because people
Hmm.
shy away from that. And right now, I need to get your conclusion of everything we talked about. five W's, the
Oh yeah.
stories, alive, not alive, all that. So, and then I'll give my little 2 cents. But first, your conclusion,
Hmm.
Erica. What is your conclusion on this?
Okay. Well, my conclusion is that Jason had always held a very significant place in my heart. Um, we go back way back from when I was a child. He was a child too, by the way.
Mhm.
All the way up until we both were near, well, he was near 50 years old. He was 40, almost 47 when he passed away. Um, and we literally spent the last 30 years knowing each other. Sometimes out of that 30 years, we didn't see each other, possibly for a year or two. We always found our way back to each other. Our hearts linked together, our souls linked together. Hence the reason why I still be seeing him in my dreams. Um, and you know, I am sorry that he had to go, but I'm actually understanding as well. Um, at first I was like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. I was totally devastated. I was like, I can't believe my boy left me. Sometimes I'll talk to him and I'll be like, really, Jason, you gonna do me like that? You just gonna leave me by myself? Because if I had nobody, I had Jason. I didn't have to have no friends and stuff like that. Like I could have Jason. That was good enough for me. Me and him were good enough for each other. And yeah, he had kids. His kids were growing up. His son, by the way, that dude loves me. He's such a cool young guy, young man. I haven't seen him in years, but he just really liked me a lot. And Jason would tell me, like, my son really likes you. Like, he just thought I was everything. I think the boy probably was hoping or wishing that I was his mom because he
Mhm.
just liked me so much. He thought I was so cool and stern and straight up because I was getting his father's butt and go off on him when need be.
Mhm.
Um, but everybody knew that I was always in Jason's corner, and he was always in mine as well. We had a very unbreakable bond, and I know he wishes he was here. One of the first dreams I had about him, which is so crazy, is that I guess I was with my friend or whatever, and Jason kept trying to call me. It's like I had a cell phone that wasn't a real cell phone. Like it wasn't a earthly cell phone. It was like a magic cell phone. And for some reason I would be missing this call. So what Jason decided to do, and this is in my dream by the way, he would be
Mhm.
calling all around to whomever he could from heaven, by the way.
Mhm.
And when he finally was able to talk to somebody, he wanted them to give me the message and tell them to tell me that he is truly, truly sorry and that he, basically not regret it, but he's like, I'm very, very sorry,
Mhm.
that all of that happened, that he's truly sorry. He wanted to let me know, like basically I kind of took it as he was possibly sorry for letting go or sorry for giving up so soon and just, but what he said in the his exact words is that he's desperately sorry. That's what he wanted to tell me. That was the message that he wanted to tell me. And yeah, it's kind of interesting because my best bud Kylie, we all were close. And so for her and Jason to both be gone is so crazy because I feel like they see each other there and say their highs to me. Because when she passed away, I was scouring everywhere looking for him to tell him about Kai. And when I told him, he couldn't believe it. He was just like, "Oh my God, I need a beer." I
Mhm.
bought him a beer because I knew, we both was gonna be grieving. But Jason, I'm telling you, he was literally one of the most important people. He, if not the most important person in my life, to my life. I just, I do wish it was different. I do, sometimes I wish that we were able to carry out what we thought would be. I mean, damn, at this time we would have had a brood. I'm pretty sure he would have talked me into it. Cause he almost talked me into having a kid when I was 29, but I'm glad I didn't do that. But I think that, at this time, if things had worked out the way that we wanted to, we would have, because we're both smart, and I'm smart too, so we probably had a few properties, couple properties at least. Um, Ideally, it would have been so cool for him to have his own electrician business. I would have had my thing going on with my directing and music and stuff, and I believe that we would have had some kids that was like in the NBA and doing big
Mhm.
things. I really truly truly believe that, like another life that we would have had. But we're here and he's not. And so I have no regrets of knowing him. I'm very happy and honored and satisfied that God chose me to be his love of his life and him vice versa.
Mhm.
So I'm very thankful to have had Jason in my life. I think that um person like him comes once in a lifetime, and me too to him, because the love that this young man gave to me was unconditional. It was like, he used to get on my nerves sometimes, and act up, act like a little baby. I used to call him a baby cry. Like, why you acting like a baby cry? Stop acting like a bitch. Like,
Mhm.
and he would actually laugh. He always laughed unless he was drunk, and then there was a problem. I would cuss his ass out all up the street and down. Um, but more than anything, we have real love for each other. So I would say that's my conclusion. Jason was my best friend, my love, the love of my life, and my
Mhm.
all around everything.
Nice, nice. Well, well put. And we have 2.5 minutes. So my conclusion of Jason, and I didn't really know him, but I knew of him, and I knew what he did for Dad. He was there
Mm,
for him. He made Dad comfortable.
mm-hmm,
I think
mm-hmm,
he said he spent like a week with him, cooking and
mm-hmm,
helping with Dad. And that right there says everything about him from me. One would say, I wish I
mm-hmm.
could have known him or got to know him. Life is like that. We pay attention to things that
He
make
was
sense to
obsessed with your drumming, I'll tell you that though.
us. Well, that's awesome. And the thing about it is that I, I I I knew at the end, but thank you, Jason. That's good of you. To
Oh yeah, he made me watch one of your performances I had taped, and I mean we watched that shit for like 2 hours straight. He rewinded one part like 10 times. It was like, you
I love
see that? You see how fast he's
it. Well, like I said, he and thank you. He made Dad's life easier, even if it's for 1 second. And for that, I'll love him forever and a day for that. And it's not being sad that he's gone. I'm happy that I believe he found peace, happiness,
hmm
or he found the thing that would not allow him, I'm praying, to just say, oh, F it, I don't care, and just give up. Mm-mm. He's in the right place at the right time, and God bless him and everybody around him. Dad's up there with him too. They're probably playing music right now. Who knows? So that's my
I
conclusion.
could see that.
hmm Jason was awesome. So that's it, everybody. That's 30 minutes to the team. And this one's it's a wrap. This is an awesome one. Jason, that's all we have to say. We love you,
Jason.
man. Okay, I'm gonna turn it off, okay?
hmm